Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with Trek. We are definitely back in the building, back in the land of the neon signs and the YouTube plaques, man. Big shout out to each and every one of you guys for tapping in like you always do. If this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy videos. Smash that like button for me if you haven't already. Smash that subscribe button and join the iTrack fam, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
These are jobs that only exist for 1 day per year. So radio tower light bulb changers climb 2,000-foot transmission towers to replace aviation lights once or twice a year, and they make around $25,000 per climb. Rare asset auditors who review the entire collection of major museums only come in once every 5 years and make about $50,000 for that single job. This is similar to deep water infrastructure inspectors who inspect the foundation of certain structures, and they'll make about $10,000 for that single job. There are certain wedding officiants who are specialized for February 29th and thus only work leap year weddings. It's reported that the highest end ones command over $10,000 per wedding. On the seasonal side of things, many fireworks pyrotechnicians are contracted to only work on 4th of July and New Year's Eve, and the Times Square ball operator only works on December 31st. The official groundhog handler for Punxsutawney Phil only officially handles him on February 22nd, working just a single day. And finally, the Olympics torch lighting team for the opening ceremony only work a few weeks every 4 years, believed to make around $30,000 for that single job. Pretty cool, right?
Hey, $30K to light the Olympic torch? Sign me up. Sign me up.
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but recently Chinese scientists were able to effectively de-age some macaque monkeys. In the metrics they measured, they were able to reduce the monkey's age about 5 to 7 years, which for humans equates to about 20 years. As of now, the changes don't affect the entire body. They were able to do things like reverse bone loss, reverse cognitive decline, and rejuvenate over 50% of the 61 tissues analyzed. Now, obviously, macaques and humans are really different, but we do share about 93% of our genome. With the rate that AI is increasing how much we know about our own genome, people are actually really optimistic that this might influence our lifespan, like the lifespan of people that are alive on Earth today. And at this point, it's honestly not unrealistic to imagine that we could become functionally immortal, which means that we wouldn't die of old age, but only unnatural causes like physical trauma. Now, don't get too excited about this because most of the governments and like philosophers that have looked into this have decided that it would probably be really bad. Because if you make the population functionally immortal, you either have to A, neuter everyone so you can't have kids, B, kill everyone once they reach a certain age, or C, just let the population boom and make everyone fight over the existing resources. Basically, you go from like having a family and growing old and then dying to probably not having a family and being like killed for the last glass of water. I don't know. Because of that reason, immortality will likely only be available to the richest of the rich, or maybe in China's case, whoever has the highest like social standing. But even then, having a possibly very long life would actually most likely drastically decrease your quality of life. Because essentially in that scenario, death becomes much more terrifying. Because if the average person dies, you might miss out on like 50 years. But if a functionally immortal person dies, you miss out on millions and millions of years that you could possibly be alive. So all of a sudden you have to take that into account when you analyze risks. Like something as simple as going on a hike might become too scary to even attempt. Because yeah, the view might be really nice, but if a tree falls on you and you die, you miss out on millions and millions of other possibly fun experiences. It would basically be the opposite of if you got told like you had a year to live and you could just kind of skydive and take risks and live it up. So yeah, basically, while scientifically really cool, in practice, being functionally immortal is probably not that great. Sorry, buddy.
Actually, you know what? I think the opposite. I feel like the longer people live, the more reckless they might become. They might just forget like what real dangers are out there. Either way, if they did make that a possibility, it might be pretty interesting to watch it play out though.
Now, it's no secret that Jared Leto's a little bit of a weirdo, but here's a lot of pictures from his actual real-life cult camp. It's basically a cult that he has on an island. So Jared Leto owns his own private island, and he actually runs an entire cult in this thing. And as you can see from the pictures, it's primarily a lot of impressionable women who are probably obsessed with him and his status in Hollywood. Do you really think that Jared Leto's teaching any of these people something that they really need to know in life? Or do you think that maybe he just sees an opportunity with many implications? I guess you have to be a little bonkers if you want to spend any time with this guy, with the guy who was crappy Suicide Squad, Jared Leto Joker. You have to be a little insane if you want to spend time with this guy on a private island, so maybe it's fitting. These people actually pay money to be there and to be with him. This is insane.
Never have I ever hooked up with a fan on tour. Really? Yeah.
In 2015, the situation escalated with allegations against him from within Hollywood itself. In the early hours of the morning on June 8th, James Gunn, the director of blockbuster movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, went live on Periscope and discussed Leto's predatory behavior. No record of the video was left online, but reports indicate that he expressed a dislike for Leto and called him out for sleeping with underage girls. The following morning, he made this post on Instagram. Good morning to Bogota, Colombia, and sorry to all of you around the world who saw my ambient-fueled Periscope session last night at 3 AM. Yes, I erased it. 3 years on from this, when things appear to have quietened down, another allegation surfaced, this time from Dylan Sprouse. He tagged Jared on Twitter saying, "Yo, Jared Leto, now that you slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" This was unexpected. Many wondered why Dylan Sprouse, who they grew up watching on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, would be calling out Jared Leto, but on closer inspection, the answer seems clear. Dylan had recently begun dating Hungarian model Barbara Palvin, who at 24 was right in the age range he mentioned. Having started in the industry at 16, Palvin had spent years in the same circles where these alleged pursuits took place, an industry that turns a blind eye to controversy and a celebrity status that shields him from consequences. The echelon grows, Mars Island sells out, movie budgets get bigger, and all those allegations, they just fade into whispers, drowned out by the sound of thousands chanting his name.
I mean, if you've been here long enough, you know how this goes, man. Where there's smoke, there's definitely fire somewhere.
The video you just watched was her last appearance before she was found dead at home. A lot of people don't know this, but Whitney Houston did not die naturally. She didn't just accidentally drown like the official story says. She was used as a sacrifice. People who saw the scene said that on the night of February 11th, 2012, she was found in the bathtub of room 434 at the Beverly Hilton, and they insisted it didn't look like a normal accident at all. The room was dark, candles had melted on the carpet in a circle like an old symbol. On the wall across, a mirror was covered with a black cloth. What's even stranger is that a few hours before she died, staff heard her screaming in the hallway. She said,
"They are here. They want to take my voice."
Other employees also claimed they heard a second, deeper voice in the bathroom, like someone whispering. What makes it even creepier is that 2 years later, the nightmare happened again. Her daughter, Bobby Christina, was also found unconscious in the bathtub. The scene was almost identical. A few months later, she died just like her mother. There's a terrifying video that shows both scenes clearly to prove this was all staged. If you want to see it, hit share, tap more, and open it in your browser.
Definitely R.I.P. Whitney, one of the GOATs. But we'll never ever find out really what happened, man. This will always be, lingers of doubt and speculation. Definitely.
Okay, so on Wednesday, we're going to set a new record, and it is not a good one. It would be the record for the longest government shutdown in American history. Currently, that title is being held by the 2018-2019 government shutdown, which lasted 35 days. And there are some real economic costs to this. So in that particular shutdown, there was an estimated 375,000 federal workers that were furloughed. You can imagine the strain it would put on all of those households with paychecks not clearing. And for that reason, the Congressional Budget Office estimated that there was a real economic impact of all of that. They estimated it to be $3 billion permanently lost from the U.S. economy as a result of that shutdown. In fact, the losses were actually steeper than that, but when the government reopened, they recuperated a lot of those losses. It would be the same situation with this particular shutdown happening now, except on a larger scale, not just because it might potentially last longer, but because this is a full government shutdown as opposed to a partial one in 2018-2019. And that's the reason why the Congressional Budget Office is estimating that the impact would be larger for this shutdown, between $7 to $14 billion. Although I should point out, for a multi-trillion-dollar economy, it is still a drop in the bucket. But you would imagine the furloughed workers that are impacted here would also be higher. And with no signs of any sort of resolution happening soon, all of those estimates could get even bigger the longer this government shutdown lasts.
My soul on this one. I know it sounds weird, but you leave your soul for something like this.
The video you just saw is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson practically admitting he might have sold his soul. Don't you find it strange that at the end of the 90s he was nobody? He was a broke wrestler, no contracts, nothing that could lead him to success. Then, overnight, his career exploded. He ended up in the WWE, in Hollywood, all that with millions of fans. It straight up looks like a miracle. Except the video you just saw confirms the whispers that have followed his image. The Rock's career wasn't due to luck, but to a pact. They say he was offered this price: 20 years of glory, of strength, of muscle, and 20 years without a single scandal. Thanks to that, he became the symbol of the Rock. His body looked superhuman, his endurance almost unreal, but no one ever gives anything for free. Someone always comes back to collect. And so this year, everything changed for him. Remember, he made a frightening public appearance, looking exhausted, thinner, stripped of the mass that defined his whole persona. All his fans were shocked. But wait, the most shocking part is that according to the contract, after his 20th year, he has to give back everything he was given. And strangely enough, it's been exactly 20 years since we started to know him. Look at what he looks like today, and you won't believe it. So is the video I showed you proof of all this? Is it simply age and stress, or has the terrible payment for his pact already begun?
Yeah, I think that has more to do with him stopping the juice, if you ask me. I mean, looks a little bit deflated, but that juice does wonders to those muscles if you haven't noticed.
Bro, the FBI director and his girlfriend whole situation is actually insane. So the whole crash out started when information leaked from the FBI that its director, 45-year-old Kash Patel, used a $60 million private jet to go watch his 26-year-old girlfriend sing the national anthem at a wrestling match. Now, the internet was in uproar about this, especially since it's during a government shutdown. And honestly, this must have struck a nerve because Kash then took to Twitter to write this. He said that uninformed internet anarchists are spreading baseless rumors and that going after people in his personal life is a total disgrace. Crash said that the disgusting attacks against his girlfriend Alexis are beyond pathetic and that she has done more for this nation than most will in 10 lifetimes. He called her a rock-solid conservative and a country music sensation, which I guess is open for interpretation. Bro, the crash out was so intense that he even started turning on the brothers, saying, and to our supposed allies staying silent, your silence is louder than the clickbait haters. Bro is pissed. But it gets even crazier because even more information started coming out today reporting that Kash grew so outraged by the news stories about his private jet use that the head of the FBI's critical response group, which is responsible for overseeing the agency's fleet of jets, has now been fired. Bro worked at the FBI for 27 years. The FBI's assistant director for public affairs defended Kash, saying that the FBI directors, they're actually mandated to travel using a government plane, even on personal travel, saying that they're actually banned from flying commercial. He also claimed that Kash pays upfront reimbursement on all personal travel. So the question is, was this crash out fair, or was Kash's use of this private jet wrong?
I mean, if they're really gonna sit there and focus on him using the jet rather than fixing the whole government shutdown thing, I'm gonna have to call distraction on that. Big cap distraction, you know what I'm saying?
That will shock you to your core. All of humanity is about to stand in awe at this final moment. And no, I'm not exaggerating, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Did you know that life as you know it right now was manifested in the 40s and in the 30s, even in the 20s, of satanic rituals done in the California desert by some of the biggest names in the world? Walt Disney, L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons, the father of our modern rocket technology, which he got from a weird source, by the way. We'll get into that. And so many more, because the secret is not so secret, even though you don't know what it is. Aleister Crowley, Walt Disney, Jack Parsons, they were all friends. Half of them worked for our own government. But what in the world were they doing? I had to block out a word right here. A word that has to do with intimacy. They were using intimate rituals to do Babylonian workings, to bring forth a moonchild to rule the world. A moonchild conceived of nothing but witchcraft. Literal demons and fallen angels were talking with these people. And they recorded every single word.
Steve Jobs had this rare type of pancreatic cancer that was actually curable with surgery. And that's rare because most pancreatic cancer is universally fatal. But instead of going for surgery, he turned to alternative therapies like botanicals, acupuncture, and special diets. Less than a year later, cancer has spread to other organs and it was no longer curative with surgery. And so my thoughts on alternative medicine is that it's great in a complementary fashion. There's a lot of potential. But alternative medicine that has been shown to work is just called medicine.
Listen up carefully, folks. Scientists just found the tomb of Egyptian god Osiris next to the River Nile. You see that shit? But it's all fake, right?
Here are some facts you didn't know about the friendliest animal in the world. This roid rodent is a capybara that's a close relative of the guinea pig and a distant cousin of the chinchilla. They're natural extroverts that can hang out in groups of up to 100 led by an alpha male. So chill that a group of capybaras is called a meditation. Capybara can do the dash at 22 miles per hour, and for reference, Usain Bolt's top speed was about 27. They're great swimmers and they're so comfortable in water they've been known to fall asleep while floating. They have webbed feet that helps them Phelps their way out of trouble. And fun fact, they only make love in the water. They some big boys that can weigh up to 200 pounds and are the largest rodents on Earth. They're basically guinea pigs on juice. They eat their own poop so they can get the most out of their fiber diet by digesting it twice. The female is pregnant for 4 to 5 months and she'll give birth to about 4 pups, and I'm only telling you that because I want an excuse to show you this picture. Also, if a female doesn't want to hook up with a male, she'll hide by submerging herself in the water until he gets the hint. They've also been known to go into a trance if you rub their belly, and because you think I'm lying, watch this. The friendliest animals in the world, nobody knows why, but we can all agree the vibes are immaculate.
When you die, many people say that you go to heaven or hell, but other people think something darker. What if you never actually leave? This is called the eternal theory. So when you die, your body releases like a huge amount of DMT, the same when you release that when you dream. Many people claim that that white light that you supposedly see is not heaven or hell. Supposedly it's your brain replaying your life over and over again. They say that you think you're moving towards a light, but in reality your memories are just being played all over again. And then the creepiest part is that supposedly when it fades, you're born again. Your same life, everything again. You don't realize it, but then you grow up and you get that sense of deja vu from here and there. And you know, maybe we're back in the same era where we grew up in. And according to this theory, it's not a coincidence, it's just like the small gaps of memory going into you like it's leaking. So maybe you've died hundreds of times already and you just don't realize it. What do you guys think about this theory?
Dr. Joseph, what have you been seeing in terms of the impact of AI, especially for younger users?
This is really interesting. Younger users are more comfortable talking to AI than to someone in real life. They feel as if they have more privacy. They feel as if there's less shame and stigma. And the data is showing that over 70% of youth are using an AI companion. About half of them have used AI for emotional and psychological support. And about 48% of them will say that they would never want to talk to a mental health expert in person. So they're more comfortable using this technology.
These are concerning findings. So is OpenAI or other AI companies like this, are they saying anything about this, Mike?
Yeah, so OpenAI does say that their latest technology, which is called GPT-5, it's kind of like the engine that underpins ChatGPT, is better by about 40 to 50% at, handling these sensitive conversations. And they also say that they've consulted with about 170 mental health experts, psychiatrists, and other professionals to basically understand how to approach conversations like this. And what they walked away with was that not every expert agrees with how ChatGPT handles any given situation, but by and large, it is better than what it once was.
Now, that was what I like to call a warning shot. I mean, they're letting you know what the data and statistics are amongst ChatGPT users, and they're already telling you the younger users are more comfortable using it and talking to it than actual people. So that just lets you know right there, man, parents have to go double duty overtime to be in their kid's life, because that's the worst thing you could do is release your kids to the demon. You know what I mean? That's the beast right there. Nah, don't do that, man.
Did you first realize something was wrong?
It's quite difficult to explain. Everything is changing, after that crash. Like me, mentally, physically, and also my family is. It is very painful to talking about the crime. I just think about like my brother. He is for me is everything for me. Like he's giving me like backbone. He give me all the time. He support me. But still, I'm not believe that is not more.
Hey, that's the guy that survived that plane crash. I couldn't imagine. Like, that's a whole new fear unlocked right there. Imagine you just surviving a plane crash, your family, your friends are on the board with you, and you're the only one left who survived. That's called trauma to the 10th power.
Here's why you should never wake someone during sleep paralysis. A man in the US posted this creepy video. According to him, he woke up in the middle of the night to strange noises, heavy moans or raspy breathing. When he looked at his wife, he was, to put it mildly, shocked. She was lying on her back with her eyes wide open, twitching slightly, like she was trying to move but just couldn't. So he tried to wake her up. He patted her cheeks, shook her by the shoulders, yet she seemed to be in some kind of trance. For anyone who doesn't know, sleep paralysis is a state where a person wakes up, but their body stays completely immobilized. In those moments, the brain is stuck between sleep and reality. And that's when many people start seeing figures in the dark, feeling a presence in the room, or even hearing strange sounds. When his wife finally came to, she could barely speak. She was terrified and said that the whole time she felt a dark figure shaking her by the shoulders and slapping her across the face. Have you ever had sleep paralysis, and what did you feel in that moment? Tell us in the comments.
You ever have sleep paralysis?
No, I haven't.
I had sleep paralysis one night, and it was at the foot of my bed. You've heard of sleep paralysis?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Foot of my bed, there's a long, spindly, shadowy figure just standing there, and it was fully real. It was real, and it walked along the side of my bed, like reaching its hand out at my face. And I woke up, tried to fight it. I thought it was so real that I thought it was like an intruder. You know what I mean? There was no part of me that was like, this is a demon.
I wonder what that is.
And then months later, I found out about sleep paralysis. I had never heard of it. Googled it, and there was a image of exactly what I dreamed on the internet. Like, I saw it.
Whoa.
And I was like, it gave me fucking chills.
Like,
I was
it's
like, holy
common.
shit. And everybody sees the same thing. It's crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. What if it's real?
That goes to the mushrooms thing with like the ego death.
I've never had sleep paralysis. If you've had it, definitely drop the experience down in the comments.
Sleep paralysis can actually result from a few different kinds of things. But one of them, the most common one, is that you are shifting for whatever reason. Whether you're interacting with other beings or not, you sometimes will shift between what you consider to be the physical reality and the spirit reality. But in the mid-shift, you're not really exactly in one or the other, and you may sort of be conscious of the fact that you're sort of straddling two different vibrational realities and not understand how to move in either of them yet. That can cause what you experience and call sleep paralysis. You no longer really are exactly in the physical world, so you can't really move in that one. You're not completely in the spiritual one, so you're not really sure how to move in that one. It causes kind of a crystallization or a locking up that acts as a transitional bridge between the two. So it's a temporary state that represents that transitional vibrational shift.
And sometimes it's not, like, because usually sleep paralysis present people with something scary.
Well, that's only because their physical mind doesn't quite understand what's happening, and it sometimes can interpret the unlocking from physical reality as an actual death. It actually feels like it's being annihilated. That's not the case. Another reason why some people might be a little bit scared of it is because sometimes that transition might be happening by being in contact with other beings from other dimensions who may be helping you cross that barrier into their reality. And again, you feel out of control because those other beings are more familiar with that process than you may be, and you may not have been brought up with the tools to understand how you're participating in that crossing, in that transition. So it might seem a little scary because it feels like you're out of control, even though you're not really.
People here, so when they go home and they dream, can you explain like what the hell's going on when
they dying? You dead. When you dream, you dead. Everybody here probably had this happen. You ever had this happen before? You was asleep. You thought you was up. You try to get up, your body wouldn't move, right? Your body won't move. Your soul wasn't back yet. Yeah, you glitched, right? Until everybody realizes that this not real, they gonna keep coming back here.
Hey, Unc think he got it all figured out, don't he?
So there's a country that almost nobody talks about. It's called Turkmenistan. It is in Central Asia, and a lot of people have never even heard about it, don't even know that it exists, and don't recall ever learning about it in school. Now, this place has endless marble cities, about 7 million people in a population, and they have a burning crater that they call a door to hell. Yeah, the door to hell is a fire that's been burning in the middle of the desert for over 50 years that the government says is just natural gas, but no one is allowed to get close to it. Now, the capital is called Ashgabat, and it's empty. quite literally like North Korea, like super empty, to the point where it looks like a set built for the gods. It's endless white marble towers, endless white marble buildings, and they say that they have this monument called the Monument of Neutrality that has a golden statue on the top of it that used to rotate to follow the sun. The capital holds the Guinness World Records for having the highest density of white marble buildings in the world, and they also have the Independence Monument as well as the Turkmenbasi Ruhi Mosque, which is one of the largest in all of Central Asia. Now here's where it gets interesting. In order to visit, not only do you need a visa, you typically need some type of letter of invitation from one of the government approved organizations. You can't just show up. They actually don't allow it, and they say there's only about 25 people who fly in every day. 25. It also states that the country is about 93% Muslim, but what's really interesting is looking into what religions they are not so friendly with. That's definitely worth research. And on top of that, this country borders the Caspian Sea, which is the world's largest inland body of water that most people have never even heard of. So from their fiery door to hell, which supposedly occurred in the 1970s in Turkmenistan when their Soviet drilling site collapsed, causing underground methane to burn until this day, down to all of their empty marble boulevards in the city of Ashgabat, it seems as if few people will ever get to see Turkmenistan with their bare eyes. One thing for certain is that this country is real, remarkable, and wrapped up in mystery. And the real question is, what are they really hiding behind those marble walls? Why is it that most people can't access this space? And could it have any association with Tartaria? Because when you look at the architecture, there's a lot that makes you wonder. What is it that this country has going on that it has so much secrets behind it? Let me know if you've ever heard about this place. If you haven't, save this video, go look into it, come back, share your thoughts. Per usual, this is all alleged. I'm just going based off what I see online, but whatever else I find, I will be back. Definitely don't want to misinform you, so I always implore you to do your research. Like, follow, stay for some more tea.
I think enough people talk about how insane Thomas Jefferson was. First off, Jefferson owned a pet mockingbird named Dick that he just let fly around the White House freely. He would even let it sit on his shoulder and take food from his lips, like a white person feeding their dog. He actually owned 4 of them during his time as president, reportedly paying $15 for ones that can specifically sing American, Scottish, and French tunes. Despite being president, he was terrified of public speaking. At his 1801 inaugural address, reports said that he spoke so quietly that no one could hear him, and during his time as president, he only gave a total of 2 public speeches. His 2 inaugural addresses when he became president and when he was re-elected. That's it. That's the only time he did public speaking. He was also extremely obsessed with mammoths and bones, paying $196 of his own money to personally fund William Clark's expedition to Big Bone Lick in Kentucky. He personally told Lewis and Clark on their expedition to look for mammoth bones and other bones of extinct and rare species because he genuinely believed that mammoths still existed in unexplored parts of the West and wanted to prove it. He also created his very own Bible by cutting up and re-gluing parts of another Bible specifically to remove any mention of miracles or anything that he considered supernatural. His goal was to only include the moral teachings of Jesus Christ, and he would read it nightly before bed. He also had an insane shopping habit and died $107,000 in debt. That's around $3 million in today's money. He built an entire 3-story mansion that looks like 1 story on the outside, with hidden passageways and windowless rooms in order to hide all the enslaved people that he had from guests during parties. But I think the most bizarre fact of all was that he absolutely hated dogs. Despite personally breeding sheepdogs himself, he destroyed an entire generation of them because he said that they were too mischievous. He hung one of his dogs that killed one of his sheeps, and in a letter to a colleague, he wrote, "I participate in all of your hostility towards dogs and would readily join in any plan for exterminating the whole race."
If that's not the definition of wilding out, I don't know what is. I mean, he seemed like he was doing a lot other than being, the best president he could be. But I'm sure that's not the whole story though, right?
Everyone says that they don't want AI music, but one of the newest artists climbing the Billboard charts right now isn't even human.
To the man who's tired but scared to say it.
Her name is Jania Monet, and she's the first AI artist to make the Billboard radio chart. And the craziest part is that the majority of her listeners still don't know that she's not real. Her song, How Was I Supposed to Know, went viral on TikTok, and now it's being played on radio stations across the country. Jania is the creation of Talisha Jones, who is a poet from Mississippi who uses the AI music tool Suno to write and perform her work. And she supposedly sounds like a mix of Keisha Cole and Mooney Long. After the first track blew up, Monet signed a multi-million-dollar record deal. And while there are a lot of AI artists out there, she's really the first one to break out on radio, which is still largely driven by human listening. There are a lot of questions that come up to mind for me, like who actually gets paid here? Is it Suno or Talisha Jones or the artist that her model was trained on? And who is the actual artist here? Is it Talisha Jones or Suno the software? And I think we very well could see a future where the Grammys or other radio awards actually have an AI-assisted category.
AI is officially hitting the music charts. Billboard says Zanaya Monet is the first known AI artist to earn enough radio play to debut on a Billboard chart. Her songs have now appeared on multiple lists, and she's landed a multi-million-dollar record deal after what Billboard called a, quote, bidding war.
Now, we all know by now, she didn't end up on Billboard or get all that radio play by chance. It just doesn't happen like that. It was all to let people know, like, yeah, AI is here. And it is here, we know it. That's definitely pretty wild that there was a bidding war.
This device doesn't swat mosquitoes, it snipes them. A Chinese startup built the Photon Matrix, basically a laser turret for bugs. It uses LiDAR to scan the air, lock onto mosquitoes mid-flight, and zap them with insane precision. It's fast enough to take out 30 mosquitoes every second. And don't worry, it's smart enough to avoid people and pets. It only fires when it's 100% sure it's aiming at a bug.
During a live TV show, Brazilian presenter Silvio Santos shocked everyone when his teeth started to look terrifying. They appeared sharp and pointy. His teeth even seemed to change shape constantly, like they were trying to return to normal. It clearly wasn't bad oral health either, because this is what his usual smile looks like. But the strange part is, he wasn't the only one. Many other famous personalities had also been caught on camera with their teeth transforming the same way. All these videos couldn't be just a coincidence. Could this be a slip that revealed their true identity? Reptilian TV presenter. During a live program in 2016, something truly strange happened. A presenter seemed to shapeshift right there in front of everyone. Her eyes seemed to change completely. Her irises turned a glowing yellow, and her pupils became narrow slits, just like a reptilian.
I'm not saying the moon landing was faked, but
this will not go well.
There's an argument that it is impossible for humans to leave something called the Van Allen belt.
So I've been waiting for this guy to have a bad take that touches on what I'm comfortable speaking on, because basically all of his takes are nonsense, but usually they're more historical conspiracies rather than science-based conspiracies. So he's going to talk about the Van Allen belt. Great, let's see what he has to say.
The Van Allen belt is this electromagnetic field that protects us from cosmic radiation.
Well, sort of. The Earth's magnetic field protects us from cosmic radiation, most of which comes from the sun, and in doing so creates the Van Allen belts. Essentially, the magnetic field forces all of those charged particles which make up the radiation into two donut shapes which surround the Earth rather than letting them get to the surface.
So the belts themselves have heavy radiation, so if you go into it, you die.
Right, so it's absolutely true that there's lots of radiation in the Van Allen belts, so you shouldn't hang out there for very long. But it's not like an insta-kill field. For example, spending 90 minutes in the Van Allen belts is usually estimated to be the radiation equivalent of a few chest x-rays. It's definitely not good for you, but if you're only in them for a brief period of time, you'll be okay. And that's exactly what the Apollo astronauts did. They planned the route to avoid as much of the belts as possible, leaving through the hole in the donut rather than through the meat, and skirting by its edges when necessary. Depending on how you measure it, it was about 2 hours in the belts on the way there, but most of that was spent in low-intensity regions. And this is borne out in the radiation data they have. The Apollo crew received about 2 millisieverts, whereas it takes 4 or 5 sieverts to be fatal, and 250 millisieverts to have any clinically observable blood changes.
But also, if you leave the Van Allen belts, there's nothing to protect you from cosmic radiation, so you could die as well.
This also isn't true. On the moon, for example, the radiation levels max out at around 400 millisieverts per year. Now, you wouldn't want to live on the moon unprotected, of course, but a few days, you'll be fine.
So some scientists actually believe that it's impossible to leave Earth, okay? We'll just die.
Which scientists? Notice how these conspiracy peddlers always just allude vaguely to some scientists? It's a way to get credibility for their argument without actually having to provide evidence.
As you may know, right now, a lot of countries, America, China, are trying to get back to the moon.
Sure. In fact, a lot of countries have successfully done it recently. In the last 5 years, the US, China, Japan, and India have all successfully landed rovers or landers on the moon. Now, for some reason, there's desire to send people back to the moon, and that's in the works by the US with a projected mission date of around mid-2027. But who knows with this government?
They're having a really hard time, okay?
Are they, though? It's basically just a funding and safety issue. Back in the 60s, there was a lot more funding for space exploration, about 5% of the US budget at the time, and a lot less worry about astronaut safety. Neither of those are the case anymore.
They're having a hard time because NASA lost all the technology, lost all the footage, lost all the data. Oops.
That's a straight up lie. Regarding the technology, basically all of the blueprints, build plans, and documentation is available online for free. What was lost was the physical technology, meaning the literal machines used to manufacture the various parts involving assembling the rockets and modules. And that's because that technology was largely retired and repurposed after the Apollo program ended. Why would they just keep maintaining factories for a program that's no longer active? As far as the video is concerned, sure, we don't have the original video that was being broadcast directly to Mission Control. That stuff was eventually taped over if it ever got recorded, much like old Doctor Who. But they weren't the only ones recording it. You can watch this stuff on YouTube. And as far as the data, we have lots of it, just not in one big repository. For example, you can go find raw telemetry from the guidance computer during lunar landing for both Apollo 11 and Apollo 12. It's available. Now, what was lost was much of the engineering and television telemetry for Apollo 11, but that's only for one mission.
How is NASA able to keep this secret? Well, guess what? A lot of their most important people were Freemasons.
And if you haven't already stopped paying attention, here's a safe place to get off this train to Crazy Town. So let's call it there, shall we?
World's most common parasites is a parasite called Tochnoplasma gondii. It's said that 60 million Americans have this, and it comes from cats. The effects that this parasite has on your brain is absolutely shocking. It's where we get the saying crazy cat lady. This parasite is microscopic, and infections usually affect the person's immune system, making you more susceptible to getting sick. The truth is, every vet will tell you to deworm your animals, but no doctor will tell you to deworm yourself, when the same parasites that are in your animals are the same ones that can live inside of you. And those same animals that you have that live in your house, that sleep in your bed, that eat your food, they live with you. I've been saying it for a while now, but it's crazy that people in America don't think they can get parasites. I used to think that having parasites was crazy, and after I did my first parasite cleanse, I was absolutely shocked that I had parasites. Now, honestly, it's completely normal to me. When people tell me that they do a detox and they saw worms, I'm not shocked whatsoever. Of course you do. Of course, you have animals, they have worms. Why wouldn't you? It's nothing to freak out about. It's literally just detox every 6 months.
Hey, I don't even own cats, but guess what? I'm going to put the link for the detox in the description, man. I think it'll be useful for everybody, especially you cat owners.
16% of Amazon. Amazon's worth roughly $1 trillion. That means that what we have built over 20 years, we have built $840 billion of wealth for other people.
If you look at the Drake case, really what it boils down to is he's trying to find out his value, his as a brand. And in the middle of contract negotiations, he said, you turned off the bots. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So you devalued my platform in the middle of a contract negotiation to devalue me. And I want to know now, every artist has a ISBN number, basically. You know what I'm saying? And I think we've covered this before, but every artist has a number associated to them. So every dollar that comes in from Spotify, or every dollar that comes in from Apple, every dollar that comes in from all of these, he wants to see what's equated to that number.
Right.
Because they're only paying him for the streaming numbers. But with the added incentive of data and, you know, all of this stuff, the way that they have to account for it is a record played, a spot played right after it. So you're going to get, and if they click through, then the record kept you on long enough to do this spot and whatever their math is and all of that. Well, how are you getting $6 billion a year in profits, but only paying artists $1 million, and the price per million streams hasn't gone up? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not.
Now, from that perspective, it makes sense why he would want to sue UMG, but at the same time, he had to have known going against the machine is going to be detrimental to the rest of his career.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but just a PSA. Scientists from the University of British Columbia found that belief in moralizing gods became common only after societies grew large, suggesting religion evolved to help control behavior, not reveal truth.
Creative advice that I would give: write down all your fears, your flaws, your insecurities, the guilt, the pressures. Look at them on a list. Know they're all distractions. Once you do that, you will experience your life uninterrupted. That is the most important thing that you can do for your creativity, is to eliminate all the distractions, period.
So here's Michael Jackson telling you to escape Saturn. This is the Saturn ring with the stars, right? Because they speak in symbolism, and if you do not understand symbolism, you are walking through life like a headless chicken, not understanding the communication that's being communicated to you. You have to understand symbolism, but what is Saturn? Saturn represents anything that restricts human consciousness, anything that restricts you. That could be a law. This is why judges wear black robes to represent the black planet of Saturn, because it's associated with the winter, darkness. Anything that restricts you. It could be belief systems, religion. This is why you always see the black cube in religion, because the black cube symbolizes Saturn and it restricts the mind. It enslaves the mind, and you cannot develop your consciousness if you believe in a religion, because it externalizes your power into an external god. So he's basically telling you to escape the mind control. And here's some more Freemasonic symbolism of Michael Jackson, the checkerboard floor.
You may not know this, but psychologists have been known to have a greater propensity to have mental illness than most people. Your psychologist is literally more screwed up in the brain than you are. You don't believe me? Do some research. And this is really weird because if you went to a doctor and the doctor was fat and unhealthy, that'd be problematic, right? Also, I have not met anyone who's gotten better psychologically after seeing a psychologist, but I myself have never met anyone or seen anyone who's benefited from seeing a psychologist. That's really weird because if you break your leg and you go to a doctor and like for years and years your leg doesn't get better, well, that's a problem, right?
Now I did read this book a while back, and I forget the name of it for the life of me, but it basically broke down the fact that doctors and therapists, if they were to, heal people and get them better, they would just put themselves out of business. So they had no business in doing that. It's pretty interesting. But I definitely get his point. It's kind of like when you go to the gym and you see a chubby gym trainer talking about, I can get you in shape. It's kind of like that.
It's a global experiment that's performed on 1.6 billion people across 70 countries twice a year, and it's called daylight savings time. In the spring, when we lose an hour of sleep, we see a subsequent 24% increase in heart attacks. What? In the fall, in the autumn, when we gain an hour of sleep, there's a 21% decrease in heart attacks. Directional. Wow. That's how fragile and vulnerable your body is.
You're blowing my fucking mind.
It's frightening.
Crazy that the only thing that's actually gotten cheaper are televisions. It's just like, hey, the world's on fire and everybody hates each other, but for $200 you can watch that shit in 4K.
If there is no free will, there's no consciousness. Consciousness, I define as awareness with a choice. That's it, awareness with a choice. Free will is necessary for consciousness. If there are no choices, then there's nothing. There's no growth, there's no evolution, there's no change. If it's all fixed, then there's nothing happening. It's the zero set, so there's no purpose to it. It's just done, finished. It's a so what? There's nothing significant ever. And that doesn't build a system. You can't build a system out of that. So the idea that this is a deterministic. Now the physicists will like to say this is deterministic because they want to say that if I knew the state vector of every particle in the universe, I could compute everything that would happen from there on. But that's nonsense. It doesn't work like that. Physicists who want to believe that matter is at the bottom, even though their experiments tell them that they're not, they paint themselves in a corner. There's two logical positions that are totally opposite, and you can't mix them. One is that this is deterministic and materialistic. If it's materialistic, it has to be deterministic. Those two are a match set. They go together. On the opposite corner, philosophically, you have consciousness, time, and free will. Those three have to exist. If you take any one of them away, the other two can't make it. Consciousness needs choice. Conscious of what? Doing what? It has to have input. You have to have choice, this input or that input. You have to have choice. How do you interpret the data? So if you don't have choice, you don't have free will. If you don't have free will, there is no point in consciousness. Consciousness doesn't really exist. It's not there's nothing to do. It's all been done.
I feel like if they wanted us to do something else, then they should have had a search team out. They could have had drones flying around. They could have took more measures to look for these monkeys and prevented this from happening. Exactly. I mean, nobody's looking for these monkeys at all. I wish it didn't have to happen that way. I just wish they took better measures in taking care of and trying to find them. I mean, nobody wants your child to be sick or have something they can't get rid of for the rest of their life. So, I mean, I hate that it happened, but I mean, I'm going to protect my kids at all costs. I just wish that, the monkeys didn't have to die. I know it's negative comments and negative people, and they're going to say rude and, crazy things. And, I just wish it would have went a different way.
Now, I was kind of wondering what happened to that last monkey that managed to escape. You remember when that truck was full of those experiment monkeys, and then they captured all of them but one? That lady hit that monkey with that iron, right? I'm not too sure she's wrong because she said all the most valid points. Those monkeys were injected with all kinds of sicknesses. Some of them you can't even really mention on YouTube, like that. Craziness. So I don't think she was wrong. I mean, what would you do in her position? Definitely drop it in the comments. What would you do?
Top 7 rarest birthdays. Number 7 is December 26th. You're basically Christmas leftovers. Number 6, January 2nd. Now that's the day New Year's resolution diets really get intense. I would hate to have a birthday that day and try to give somebody a piece of birthday cake. They'd slap the shit out of you. Number 5, July 4th. Kind of patriotic. Number 4, December 24th. Now, if there wasn't room at the inn for little baby Jesus on December 24th, there ain't going to be room for your ass on that day neither. Number 3, January 1st, the New Year's baby. Look, most of these things just come down to the fact that they don't induce labor on these days very often because doctors are trying to go out and have their own New Year's. They don't need to worry about you getting born. Number 2, December 25th. That's Jesus' birthday. Leave it for him. If you like this list and want more about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with when your birthday is, or share this with somebody who has a rare birthday. Also follow my wife Samantha, who I've tagged. Check out our podcast, Brutally Honest with Sam and Jacob, and book me on Cameo if you want a personal message. You get all that? Number 1, obviously, is February 29th.
Are you ready to test your intuition? In my hand, I'm holding a shape and a color. I want you to close your eyes and open up your awareness. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Now open up your eyes and trust what you receive. You ready? It's a yellow triangle. Were you able to get the color, the shape? How did your answer come in for you? Let me know how you did.
Hey, I got that one right. I mean, that was literally the only shape and color in my mind. So I guess, I had no other choice. Let me know what you got down in the comments, though. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by yet again and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. Join the iTrack fam, and I will definitely catch you on the next one, man.